Well, hello there, my friends, and welcome to this very special live episode of From Patients to Superfans, where we dive into how to create amazing customer experiences your patients will rave about. My name is Matteo Trisolini. I help healthcare companies and teams start their customer experience revolution by turning their patients into brand ambassadors. If you're watching today, then you know that in this very special episode, we are having a live webinar, part one of the webinar. And I am about to share with you 5 simple steps you can take right now to change, rebuild, restructure, or build from scratch an amazing telephone experience that will turn your patients into raving fans. Don't have time to watch the entire live part one webinar? I get it. I'm in New York. It's 6:30 p.m. We are probably either getting ready to go to work, to go home from work, or we're about to cook dinner for the family. We don't have time to watch this. I get it. And I got you, my friends. In fact, you are going to be able to watch the entire webinar, not just part one or part two, the entire webinar right now or whenever you want by just clicking on the link I posted in the comment section right below here. You can watch it at any time you want for the rest of your life. So I got you. Don't worry. Also, if you guys have any questions during the webinar, feel free to post in the comments and I will get to them as I go on with the webinar. But before we proceed with the presentation, I want to make sure we are on the same page. So I want to answer a question that is pressing. Why should we in healthcare spend so much time, so many resources, so much money in investing in delivering amazing experiences? I mean, we know that we get paid by procedures or visits. So why should we do this? Well, I hear you loud and clear, my friends. Uh, I really hear you. But if 2020 taught us a lesson, hopefully it is that, you know, in healthcare, our healthcare companies are a business. And as a business, we need to find a differentiator that is going to set us apart from everyone else around. Also, I wanted to add on a personal and on a professional note, I want you to feel proud of what you do so well. I want to push you to do what you do so well for a higher purpose than just getting yourself to work and working really hard every day for 8 hours. So I want you to ask yourself this question. Why do you do this? And I want you to ask yourself, what is your higher purpose and what is your company's higher purpose? So, as you know, guys, today we are going to tackle a topic, an area in delivering experiences in healthcare that has some bruises, that it's probably one of the biggest pain points from the patient's side. It is one of the areas where we get most complaints about, and that is the telephone experience. So I took the liberty to do some research my own way. So I went on Google and I Googled a few practices, medical practices out there all over the country. And then I put together a very short 30 seconds video for you to watch that will probably give you an idea of the status quo. So let's watch it together.
Good afternoon, medical. Doctor's office.
Hello, Dr. Savish.
Press 1 for appointments. Press 2 for prescription refill.
Good afternoon, doctor's office.
Doctor's office.
If you need a same-day sick appointment or you prefer to schedule your non-urgent routine appointment now, press 2.
Dr. Gordon's office, please hold.
Whoa. And so, yes, my friends, save yourselves, right? I mean, This may not be true for all healthcare companies out there, but it's definitely true for most of them. So, if this is what is keeping you up at night, if this is what you hear in the room while you are there with the patients, and instead of spending that time helping them, you are spending your doctor time just fixing and troubleshooting and listening to complaints about the experience. If this is dragging down your Google stars, well, my friends, then I have a solution for you. And again, I want to remind you that in the event that you can't stay with me for the entire live webinar part one, you can download and watch this, a pre-recorded version of this live webinar at any given time by just clicking on the link that I have posted below here in the comment section. So if you guys are ready to dive into the webinar, I want to share with you first what to expect in this webinar. So let me put this a little bigger for you. There you go. All right, in this webinar, this is what's going to happen. This is what you can expect. We are first of all going to pinpoint the roadblocks. We are going to find out what is stopping you or your team from delivering amazing experiences. Then we together are going to transform your current experience. You guys are going to learn the secret sauce to be able to create and deliver amazing moments and memorable moments for your patients. Once you have created those moments, you're going to see how easy it's going to be to turn your patients into raving fans. You are going to be able to rewrite your future. You're going to revamp your brand. You are going to let your patients do the marketing work for you. How amazing is that? But before we dive into the big step, the first big step, I wanted to show you this picture. First of all, it is not photoshopped. It's a real picture that I took in 2019 when I went to the 3-day culture camp at Zappos, which I loved. During those 3 days of full immersion, I learned the connection that exists between company culture and delivering amazing experiences. And so at day 2 of the camp, we were allowed to shadow the CLT agents. CLT is the customer loyalty team for Zappos. Those are the people who pick up the phones, and we were able to sit next to them to listen into the conversations. Of course, we asked for permission. And we were able to witness how Zappos creates their telephone experience, what strategies they have in place. So when I sat there and I was getting prepped about what I could do, what I could not do, I noticed that on the computer of the agent I was sitting next to, she had this post-it note that read, "You dog, you making that connection?" So of course I asked the question, "What is this? Can you tell me about it?" And she, first of all, told me that every Monday when she arrived to work, she would write that message, same message, to herself on a different post-it with a different color, different font every week, a brand new one with the same message, "You dog, you making that connection." And then she went on explaining that that was her reminder that her only job during her time picking up the phones was not to sell shoes, but was to make a human connection. I want to leave this here for 1 second for you guys, because this is really an important thing to remember as we go through the live webinar, because I do believe that longevity and success are connected, and they're directly connected to the type of differentiator that you, my friend, are going to choose for your company. And I really hope that you pick, and I do suggest that everyone selects customer experience as their differentiator, because that is the future. And of course, you know what I do. I help healthcare companies and teams start their customer experience revolution and secure longevity, and also to increase their revenue by simply strengthening the relationships they currently have with their patients. And so with this, here we are. These are the big 5. These are the big 5 steps we are all going to take together to rebuild our customer experience. In step number 1, module number 1, we are going to dissect your current experience. We're going to take what you have, we're going to dissect it and study it. In step number 2, I'm going to help you out finding your why. I'm going to help you out establishing that common purpose your team will use to achieve their goals together. In step 3, module 3, we are going to actually together build your brand new telephone experience. And we're going to do so by making together 5 key decisions. In module 4, I'm going to show you how choosing relationships over transactions is going to become that one and only tool you are going to use and need to turn your patients into brand ambassadors. And then finally, module number 5 is where we set some procedures and some strategies in place to track your result to make sure you stay consistent. And so if you guys are ready, before we get to step number 1, I wanted to share with you this quote from one of the people that I admired and respected the most, Tony Hsieh, may his soul rest in peace. He was the former Zappos CEO. Anytime that Tony was asked the question by anyone, including his own peers, CEOs or even bigger companies used to ask him all the time, why are you so obsessed with company culture? Why do we need to put so much effort in building a solid company culture so that you can deliver an amazing customer experience? What is the ROI of doing all of this? And he was just simply answer with, well, what is the ROI of hugging your mother? And with this, guys, let's get into some work. Let's get our hands dirty and dissect your current experience. We're going to do this by simply answering questions. And I have a set of 10 questions for you to answer. And I want to make sure that you understand that this is important to do. And so you can either take notes now, or if you want, I am ready to send you some worksheets, which are PDFs files that are printable or that you can use digitally and fill out digitally. This would help you keep things together. If you want them, all you need to do is to send me an email at info@unicornexperience.us. The email is now on your screen here. Also, it will be in the comment section for you to find. So it is important for you to answer those questions, to write down the answers, because we are going to use your answers to rebuild your experience. So question number 1 is, how do we start the conversation? And this is very important. This doesn't just mean what we say. This means what exact words do we use from start to finish. I want you to take notes. And if you are not familiar with how your team is answering the phones, I want you to spend some time this week figuring it out and taking some notes. Question number 2 is, what is the tone we set? And this is very important. What is the tone that we set for the whole conversation as soon as we pick up the phones? Do we sound happy? Do we sound excited? Do we sound ready to help? Do we sound interested? Do we sound professional? Do we sound bothered? Or do we sound unbothered? Question number 3 is, how many times does the phone ring before we pick up? I'm going to read it one more time because this is really important. So if you're multitasking, please come back to me because this is really important. How many times does the phone ring before we pick up? I suggest that if you do not have this metric, that you go out there this week and you start taking some stats, because this will help you out defining a strategy when we go there next week and we build together your new strategy. Question number 4 is, how many missed calls do we have per day? Again, if you don't have this stat, if you don't have the metrics, I invite you to do a little bit of research and figure out how many calls you miss per day, because again, you're going to use it to create your brand new strategy. Now, what happens after we miss a call? Question number 5. Do we have a strategy in place? Do we let it go? Did it never happen? Forget about it? or do we actually have a strategy? I need you to know this, so please write it down. Question number 6 is, what are the rules? Are there any rules? And I'm going to take a quick second on this. Sorry, there you go. Oh. I'm going to take a quick second to explain to you and to give you some examples of rules and what they are and how you can use them. So bear with me 1 second. So I'm going to give you a situation, for example, where we can apply some rules or create some rules. For example, we get a phone call from a prospective patient, a brand new patient, never been seen here. First of all, I'm going to digress a little bit. I'm going to go on a little marketing tangent, and I'm going to ask you, please tell me that you are tracking these calls. It is as simple as just having a Google Sheet out there, available to everyone who answers phones, where you're going to track who picked up the phone call, what time and what day, and where you're going to track who called, why they called, the reason why they called. You're going to track, hopefully, where they found out about you, how they found out about you. That is the most important piece of information you are going to need to track. And of course, then we're going to move on asking what insurance they have, because we want to make sure that we are not going to go out of network and create out-of-pocket expenses for them. So let's suppose that this new patient who calls in is a brand new patient and they have an insurance that we don't have a contract with. What do you do in that case? This is where you establish your rules. In my company, our rule is that because we think of our company as just a service company that just happens to be in healthcare, we have the rule that we are going to go above and beyond, even for people who we can't serve, but we can still help. So we are going to stop everything and take the time while we're on the phone with them to go on Google and find them a doctor that takes their insurance, there is a network with their insurance, and then it is a reasonable distance from where they live, and that has also reasonable Google reviews. We do this because we have set a rule, and we do this also because we are a service company. Situation number 2, very quickly also, is let's say that a current patient calls and they go through all their symptoms. They might need an appointment, and they after 10 minutes of conversation, they decide that they're going to call us back tomorrow. They're not very sure if they need an appointment, and if their condition is worse, then they will call back tomorrow. Here's a chance to decide to install a rule. So our rule says that we are going to, even if the patient doesn't want us to or doesn't ask, we are going to then follow up with them the next day. We're going to create a task in the Google Calendar, for example. We're going to call them next day. And guess what? When you call them, they're so surprised that you remembered. And that's where you make that quick connection. All right. So this is so that you understand what rules are. I need you to write down all these possible scenarios in your mind and then figure out if you have any rules and what they are. And speaking of rules, one of them could be, how long is your team allowed to be on the phone with a patient? For some businesses, this is something that you shouldn't even be on the phone. So some businesses want those phone calls to be very quickly and to go from one to one to one. For other healthcare companies, it doesn't matter. For us, for example, for my company, we don't have a limit. We can stay on the phone for 8 hours to make sure that our patients are taken care of and we can help them. For other companies, they never thought about it, but this is something you need to think about. And then question number 8 is, when we must put on hold, what is the process? My friends, is completely unrealistic to think that we are never going to put someone on hold. Even if you're really great, even if you have the best experience, it is going to happen. So my suggestion is you should think about a process. So what I want you to do right now is to figure out, at this time in your company, do you have a process for putting on hold? Question number 9, we're almost there, is what do we promise? What are our promises to them? Whether we are on the phone or on email or in person, what are our promises? And so I want to give you a little example so that you understand what I am talking about. A little example of the promises. Let's go back to that scenario where that patient calls and says after 10 minutes, well, I'm going to call you back tomorrow. If I feel worse, then I'll schedule an appointment. You could do two things. You can either not say anything and then surprise them the next day, or you can make a promise and you can say, I am going to call you tomorrow. And when you do that, that is your promise. So what does it look like if you do make a promise and then you don't deliver on the promise? Do we have a process in place to deliver on the promise? It could be as simple as just using the Google Calendar, put in a task for yourself the next morning in your Google Calendar, and then next morning you will remember. It could be as easy as that. Again, I understand that this might be a little overwhelming for some of you out there because either you have a process in place and I'm asking you questions that seem simple, but they're very actually important to think about, or you don't even have a company yet. You're putting a company together, or you have a company and never thought about those 10 questions. So I really need you to spend some time on this. So as I said, if you don't want to write on pieces of paper and you want worksheets in a form of printable PDF files that you can also fill out, digitally, just send me an email at info@unicornexperience.us. The email is right there for you. If you want a copy of them, I'll be happy to send it to you. So, and again, if you don't have time to stick with me for the duration of this part 1 webinar, I get it. You can just click on the link below and you'll be redirected to a page where you can watch the pre-recorded version of this webinar anytime you want, any place you want. And so with this, let's go to part 2, which is finding your why. I'm going to help you out establish your higher purpose, your common purpose that is going to become the driving motor for your team. It's going to give your team that common purpose they can all follow to achieve the common goals. Because, my friends, having a structure that has no purpose only creates mediocre experiences. And usually those experiences are a little robotic, they are automated, they are a lot closer to transactions than real experiences. So because of this, I want to help you out creating and writing your customer experience purpose statement. And I know now you're saying, Matteo, what are you talking about? I know this is overwhelming, but this is necessary. And I'm here to help you figure this out. I also know that some of you out there have this in place. The bigger organizations most likely do have this. So let me explain what this is. Every organization, every company should have a company mission, which is the higher purpose of the company. And usually this idea is really grand, it's big, and it feels like it would take forever to achieve, or it's unachievable, right? So, for example, the higher purpose for Zappos is deliver wow through service. You have to deliver wow. That is kind of gives me anxiety, right? But that's the idea. So in order to achieve this higher purpose, there are some steps. One of them is the customer experience department usually has their own customer experience purpose statement, which is your why. This is the reason why you do things, and this is also how you do things. So for all of you out there who already have this in place, I want you to be patient and I want you to be open-minded, because today I'm going to give you 4 ingredients for this secret sauce of how you can put together or restructure or rebuild your customer experience purpose statement. So for all of you out there who have not done this before or have been shy about it because this is overwhelming for everybody. These are the 4 ingredients. Every customer experience purpose statement must be simple so that we can all understand what it is. It has to be also specific so that we all go in the same direction. Also, it has to be easy to remember. Otherwise, it's going to be really difficult for your team to remember what it is that we're doing every day to achieve the higher purpose. And very important, it has to be in alignment with your company mission. It has to serve the higher purpose. Whatever you do down here as the customer service, customer experience purpose statement has to help achieving the higher purpose. I'll explain in details in a second. And also it must be achievable. And so I want to explain the achievable part. And I'm sorry, I should have showed you a little bit more in details. To understand the achievable part, again, it has to be something that we can get done today, so that in the long term we can get closer to fulfilling the higher purpose of our company. And so I want to give you a little idea what this looks like. Let's see if I can do it this way. I am going to show you what my company's customer experience purpose statement looks like and what it says. Okay, so that it's a little more clear for you. Here it is, without reflection, hopefully. So our customer experience purpose statement says, we give our customers, our patients, the most pleasant experience of their day. And then at the bottom, we also outline what the tools that we have and that we use are to achieve this small goal every day. So let's go see if this is actually pertinent and if it follows the four rules, the four ingredients. Is it simple? It is very simple, right? Everybody can understand what we're talking about. But it's also specific. We want to give our patients the best, most pleasant experience of their day. These are the keywords. Also, it's easy to remember, so it's not very confusing. It is in alignment with our company mission. Our company mission is to change the way that healthcare is experienced by everyone involved, and also to give back to the community. And giving our customers, our patients, the most pleasant experience of their day will actually help us get closer to the bigger idea of changing the way that healthcare is experienced by everyone involved, because we believe that giving the most amazing experience of their day, one patient at a time, one relationship at a time, one interaction at a time, will get us closer to fulfilling our goal. And so with this, my friends, I want to make sure that you are able to write your first customer experience purpose statement or rework the one that you have. And I understand this might be, again, overwhelming and confusing. So a good place to start for most companies, especially in our sector, would be just be helpful. You can get creative and build on that. And so now that we are here, that we have dissected our current experience, right? We have also now understood that we also need a why. We need to have a common purpose and a common goal for the entire team. Now we should be ready to build our structure, our brand new experience. So hold your horses though, guys, because I needed to actually do the work, all right? In order for us to build a brand new structure, I needed to have your answers to the 10 questions that we went through. I needed to have them down. And I need you to have solidified plans for your customer experience purpose statement. So you guys have some homework to do. You have 1 full week to get this done. And I will start a part 2 of this live webinar next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m., where we're going to pick up exactly from where we left off. And again, I understand if you don't have the time to come back to watch it, you can download right now the entire webinar, pre-recorded webinar version of this live webinar right now, and you can watch it whenever you want. The link is, and it will be in the comment section below. So my friends, I want to thank you so much for sticking with me. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment or send me an email at info@unicornexperience.us. I will see you all next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for part 2 of this